What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
It was evening by the time we wrapped up our talks with the Tengu on the final day. After an earlyish dinner, we decided to hold our first administrative meeting in a while. Since we had all my officials here for a change, I figured it'd be a good chance to brief each other on recent events. We also had a few visitors, Veldora, Ramirez, and her servants Beretta and Trainee. Milam would be, officially, coming to town 3 days from now, and I guess she was really starting to feel the heat from Frey, so she decided to head back home in the meantime. Smart girl. I don't know how pissed off Frey was, but if Milam stayed here for much longer, I bet the answer would be very, and I didn't want to be caught in the crossfire. Plus, we had another new face.
Now, before we begin this conference, there's someone I'd like to introduce to you all. This is Mjolmile, or Molly, and I am considering a government post for him. He's been intimately involved with arrangements for the Founders Festival in 3 days, and if it turns out successful, I'd like to name him Chief of our financial affairs. I want all of you to treat him well.
I had wanted to do this when everybody was around. Plus, I wanted Mjolmile to handle the final pre-festival briefing for me.
My name is Guard Mjolmile. Sir Rimuru has been kind enough to give me a crucial duty in the upcoming festivities, and frankly I'm rather tense, but I hope I will earn good favor from all of you here today.
As an ever so slightly overweight fellow, Mjolmile didn't look tense at all. Still, it must have taken guts, introducing himself to a room full of monsters. Even he gets nervous sometimes, I guess. Dealing with mafia types in the big city was probably a far cry from going face to face with high-level magic born like us. With our introductions now concluded, I jumped right into the topic at hand.
Alright, Molly, if you could go over how things are looking for us right now.
Yes sir, if you'll excuse me, then.
Taking my cue, Mjolmile got up from his seat next to Rigard and went over our preparations for the Founders Festival. 2 days from now, on the night before opening ceremonies, we would be holding a citywide launch party. This would be open to everyone, including not just event invitees but the merchants, and the adventurers bodyguarding them, visiting town, with free food and drink for all. The news had already gone out, of course, and I heard about farmers and the like from nearby cities traveling over for it, the exact sort of tourism I wanted to attract, so I wanted to be damn sure they had a great time. In the reception hall, meanwhile, we'd hold a palatial banquet for the visiting royalty and nobility. Everything served here would be a tandem effort between Shuna and Yoshida the baker. They were debuting a lot of new dishes, I knew, so I couldn't wait. This would be a standing buffet type thing, since I wanted guests to enjoy smaller bits of as many different kinds of food as we could offer. Then the Founders Festival officially began. On the morning of the first day, I would hold a speech. Yes, yet another speech, but I needed some kind of event to officially proclaim that I was a demon lord, so this was kind of unavoidable. I suggested skipping this, since everyone knew already, but my advisors all just smiled and said no. Right after that, we'd kick off the battle tournament at the Coliseum. I, however, would not be in attendance. This festival was meant to help VIPs from other nations get to know Tempest, so I couldn't just sit around watching the preliminary rounds all day. Instead, my itinerary included a seat at our newly refurbished and extremely fancy-looking theater. Nobody's told me what kind of performance to expect, which made me a bit anxious, but Mjolmile seemed really enthusiastic about it.
I feel this will be a chance to show the world that you are a cultured demon lord.
He'd said with a grin. Xian was smiling right along with him, which did nothing to calm my nerves. But no point stewing over it. If it had Mjolmile's stamp of approval, I'd have to trust in him. After lunch came a technological exhibition, including panels like Gabble and Vester's history of healing potions, Kurobe and Garm's grand tour of their weaponry, and so on. This would take place at our museum, which, like the theater, would be open to the general public from day 2 onward. For today, it was open to nobility only, so they could take their time with everything on display. I thought that staggering the schedules like that would be best for security purposes. Speaking of day 2, that's when I'd begin to take in the battle tournament. Later that afternoon, I'd also hold a series of chats, or to put it another way, it was some unscheduled free time for me. Basically, I'd be in my VIP box at the arena, and if anyone wanted to talk to me, I'd take their questions one by one. Mjolmile was arranging all that for me, so really, it'd just be a pleasant distraction as I took in the tournament. Everyone who received paper invites would have a guide provided for them, and they'd be free to enjoy the fest any way they wanted. peruse the stalls, enjoy our luxurious hot baths, or check out the tournament themselves. Then, on day 3, we'd finally open up our long-awaited dungeon. The final matches of the tournament would take place that morning, and in the afternoon, you'd get to watch as adventurers tried their hand at conquering the labyrinth.
You've completed quite an impressive Coliseum while I was gone.
Marveled Geld, no doubt impressed that there was a whole generation of talented craftsmen below him now.
That we have. You and Mildo have a great apprentice in GobQ. It's a perfectly sound structure. You wouldn't even know this was a rush project. If our top magic-born fought in here, I'd be worried, but any fights between competitors ranked below A shouldn't be a problem.
In terms of safety, the arena could just about withstand a high-level spirit like Ifrit raging inside it. Which, I mean, if someone focused the full brunt of their attacks on the arena itself, I couldn't do much about that, but I'd be there for the main battles, and I planned on putting a light absolute defense barrier over the stadium. Barring a catastrophe, the audience would be perfectly safe, probably.
And I've discovered the ultimate in gourmet bliss with my hibachi grill. It will be a can't-miss delight, trust me on that.
Oh, I almost forgot. He really wanted to run a stand, so there wasn't much to do for it except let him participate in disguise. It's funny, though, somewhere along the line, Mjolmile and Veldora had really started to get along with each other. All the impossible demands I had given them, and it looked like he was now fully used to things. Amazing. This guy may be more of a monster than I thought. That was all for Mjolmile's rundown. Diablo, Hakuro, and Geld, who weren't around for all the lead-up work, listened intently to it all, no doubt saddened that they couldn't be a part of it. I should probably give each of them a reward of some sort. Geld's could wait until he was done with his current job, but Diablo and Hakuro had wrapped up theirs with flying colors. Making a mental note of that, I turned to my officials.
So far, everything's been going smoothly,
I said.
Have any of you run into any issues?
If nobody had, I was going to turn it over to Soe, but...
Yes, sir.
That was Ramirez's cheerful voice sounding out as she raised her hand. Ramirez, huh? I'm sure it's nothing serious, then.
What's up, Ramirez?
Well, I got a problem?
Yes? What is it?
Okay, well, you see, it's about the bottom floors of the dungeon.
She fell silent, glancing at Veldora.
Yes, it is nothing serious. You recall the forest installed in floor 95 of the labyrinth? Well, for some reason, it has started growing its way up into higher floors, and it now covers everything up to floor 71.
Veldora said. He sounded so casual about it, too. Floors 91 to 94 were thankfully sealed off, so they apparently weren't affected. But the rest of the levels were now lush forest, thanks to the plant life making its way up the magicule ventilation ducts.
That's gonna be a pretty big pain in the ass to clean up, isn't it?
It sure is. That's why I'm bringing it up with you.
Ramirez cried. I hated to say it, but she had a point. Eesh. If this was anyone's fault, it was Veldora's.
And we do have one more small issue.
The dragon added.
What would that be?
I really didn't want to ask, but I had to. But what Veldora gave me went far beyond my expectations.
My boss-level monsters are missing. That was what I wished to discuss.
Ah, well, at least he wasn't bringing up something stupid. Apparently, this creeping forest was sucking up the magicules in the labyrinth before those monsters could be spawned. As a result, we weren't seeing monsters worthy of being deemed bosses of the lower dungeons. We did have a single Tempest Serpent born, rank, a-, but I already designated that the boss of floor 40. It was Veldora and Ramirez, after all, who said they didn't need small fry like that in their domains. If they wanted it back now, forget it.
Also, I'm thinking about making a new elemental colossus, so I want you to get the materials for me.
Yes, and I want you to employ monsters worthy of serving as my bosses. And clean up the forest for me.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to James Yap, Abhishek Dungdung, AutisticLeamer 420, Tempest, Muhammad Noraiz Alican, Sewang Rigzin, Luke Devilax, John Mardi Malaluan, Neil Thakar, and last but not the least, shout out to Salvador Lozano. I'll see you guys in the next video.